Although Right to Information Act was passed by the Parliament in 2005, but it does not mean that the entire idea was discussed and it was institutionalized in 2005 only. What I mean to say that even though the act was passed in 2005, but it was the logical consequence of a process which was undergoing over a long period of time. It means, much before 2005, the idea was conceived, and in the course of time it became a subject matter of debate and discussion, more particularly in the civil society. And accordingly, the government finally passed a law to acknowledge right to information for its citizenry. One more thing that I would like to add here, that even before the passage of this, the law by the Parliament, Supreme Court had acknowledged the significance of right to information through its liberal and progressive interpretation of fundamental rights on many occasions. What I mean to say, even though the act was passed in 2005, before 2005, many occasions, Supreme Court had, acknowledged the significance of right to information in the course of interpreting Article 19, Fundamental Rights, Article 19 dealing with freedom of speech and expression, and Article 21, right to life and personal liberty. So Supreme Court maintained that right to information is inbuilt in the freedom of speech and expression. How can you think of freedom of speech and expression without accompanying right to seek information? So freedom of speech and expression means that you can give expression to your thoughts, your views and opinion, even though it carries an element of political dissent. But how can it be possible? How can it be possible without right to information? If you have right to information, then only you can seek relevant information, details, facts, etc. regarding the functioning of the public authorities or the government, and then you can give expression to your view and opinion. You can give expression to your dissent. You can present your intellectual critique against the policies of the government. It means freedom of speech and expression must necessarily be preceded by right to information. Otherwise, freedom of speech and expression sounds very hollow from inside. Clear? And secondly, right to life and personal liberty. How can you think of right to life and personal liberty, a dignified life in the context of a democracy, if you are made to live without any information? It would be very much like a monarchy. It would be very much like, you have formed the government and the government has decided not to share any information with you. You don't have any right to ask the government what they are doing with the resources of the country. So it means it is a very, it cannot be said to be a life of prestige and dignity in the context of democratic form of polity. So if we have democratic form of polity, it means the masters should always be provided with all relevant information so as to enforce the accountability of the government, so as to participate in decision-making process, so as to give, the directions to the government what to do and what not to do, directly or indirectly. Getting a point? So there is a link between right to information and your fundamental rights under Article 19, that is freedom of speech and expression, and then right to life and personal liberty under Article 21. Overall, if you read fundamental rights, at number of places you will find right to inner freedom of conscience. If there is a right to inner freedom of conscience, every individual, every citizen has a right to mold his or her views and opinion and to give expression to the same. So how can the freedom of conscience hold significance in the absence of right to information? If you have right to information, you can collect relevant information You can collect relevant information and you can develop knowledge about something, and then only you can form your view and opinion. You can mold your thoughts. Your inner freedom of conscience becomes possible, for expression. It means inner freedom of conscience, your knowledge, your view, your opinion, what you feel, all such things, should be allowed to be duly expressed. But such expression cannot hold any significance unless you are provided with information. So there is a cycle of input, throughput, and output. Can you think of only output without input? Whatever information that you collect from the external environment, that is input, that goes into your mind. Such information is processed. You form your view and opinion, that is throughput. And then it comes out in the form of views, opinion, or any kind of intellectual spontaneity or creativity expression in writing or other things. Getting a point? So this cycle of input, throughput, and output can never be possible in the absence of right to information. Are you getting a point? So this is known as right to information. So Supreme Court had acknowledged, right to information on several occasions through liberal and progressive interpretation of fundamental rights, particularly Article 19 and 21. But something far more substantive was required in the form of a law. So accordingly, the Parliament responded and the law was enacted to concretize such things, because you cannot afford to depend on interpretation only, because interpretation does not bring that much of clarity and stability and acknowledgement as the law enacted by the Parliament brings. So accordingly, you can say what was expressed on so many occasions by the Supreme Court was given a more concrete and institutionalized shape in the form of Right to Information Act 2005. Point is clear? So what is the concept? Right to Information Act is very simple: to bring transparency and accountability in the working of every public authority. It restricts the possibility of corruption, and right to information with the public means that they can seek information from any public authority regarding its functioning. So that exercises a kind of pressure on the institutions to perform with due efficiency and effectiveness. So key concepts of Right to Information Act is that it aims at bringing transparency and accountability in the functioning of every public authority. It acknowledges the right of any Indian citizen to seek information from such public authorities regarding what? Regarding any order, regarding any the decision which has been taken, regarding certain rules or regulations regarding a particular case, a development on that case. There are so many things, subject to few exceptions. Which are which means there are certain areas which are related to larger interest of the society and the country, defense or security. Certain information cannot be shared. So some exceptions have been made here. Subject to such exceptions in the larger interest of the security or sovereignty of the country, other informations are required to be subject to these exceptions. The informations are required to be shared. So right to information. Right, I have discussed earlier, if you recall, what is the meaning of rights? Right of an individual. What is the meaning of right? Right refers to a kind of claim that we make on something by virtue of law, by virtue of constitution, by virtue of any other disposition. Getting a point? One or other disposition, that your claim on something is not hollow. Your claim on something is supported by either law, supported by the value system of the society or the custom, or there are so many things. But here we are focusing more on law. Right to information. That means you have a claim. Every citizen has a claim over what? Over the information. Information regarding what? Information regarding the what, how, and why of the functioning of public authorities. What is the meaning of public authority? Simple. Any institution, any organization created either by the constitution or by the statutory laws enacted by the parliament or the state legislature, or any body which is established by the executive order of the government, any body which is largely which is owned or which is managed or which is substantially financed by the government, all such bodies do come within the ambit of public authorities. Even some NGOs which are largely financed by the government may come under RTI, Right to Information, ambit of Right to Information Act. It means such public authorities are duty bound to share information with any citizen of the country if he or she applies for the same, subject to few exceptions which have been acknowledged under this act. All informations cannot be shared. Subject to such few exceptions, public authorities are duty bound to share information with the public, and public at large, citizens, they have been conferred with right to seek information from such public authorities. Point is clear? It places a kind of RTI Act places a kind of responsibility on the government institutions to provide relevant information to the people, citizens of this country, as and when they ask for the same, provided they are not seeking information on something which falls under the category of exception. Point is clear? Therefore, you can say that RTI Act, Right to Information Act, shifts the debate on governance from what should be revealed to public to what must be kept secret from it. The act reflects the strength of our democracy. Now it has brought a kind of shift of focus. Instead of thinking of what can be shared with public, now you have to think what can be retained. Why? Because only few things can be retained by you. Other things are to be shared with the public at large. Citizens have the right to seek information, and public authorities are duty bound to give such information. Point is clear? RTI Act makes some kind of institutional arrangement so as to ensure the efficient implementation of the provisions of this act. Accordingly, it provides for a Central Information Commission there in Delhi, which has been entrusted with the task of ensuring the efficient and effective implementation of such law, RTI, Right to Information Act. So there is a Central Information Commission to monitor the implementation of this act, and then in every state you have a State Information Commission. The act makes it mandatory for the government departments, the central government and state government, to appoint public information officers and assistant public information officers who would deal with the public seeking information regarding the functioning of the public authorities. Are you getting a point? This is Right to Information Act. So you have a Central Information Commission, you have a State Information Commission, then there is a provision for public information officers. So a citizen seeking information must apply for the same, must fill in the form, and it can be submitted to public information officer, and he is bound to give information as asked by any citizen within 30 days or 40 days, 45 days, depending on the category to which the query belongs to. Getting a point? If that date, the 30 days or 45, that limit is crossed and information is not shared, in that case it would be not inappropriate on the part of the applicant to construe that the authorities have refused to give information, and accordingly they can pursue the case with the State Information Commission, or they can in extreme situation they can pursue the case with Central Information Commission, and then Central Information Commission can give direction to such public authorities which has refused to share information. If Central Information Commission is not satisfied, so in that case, it can also initiate legal proceedings in the High Court. I hope the point is clear. Right to Information Act. क्या हो, नहीं समझ में आया? पब्लिक अथॉरिटीज बता चुके, पब्लिक अथॉरिटी बता दिए, सेंट्रल इंफॉर्मेशन कमीशन, स्टेट इंफॉर्मेशन कमीशन, सीक्वेंस सारा क्लियर है। कंटेंट ऑफ राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन, अब इंफॉर्मेशन क्या होगा? इंफॉर्मेशन डिसीजंस के रिगार्डिंग हो सकता है, कोई सर्कुलर है, कोई ऑर्डर है, ऐसे इंफॉर्मेशन। लेकिन आप वो इंफॉर्मेशन आप नहीं मांग सकते हैं जो एक्सेप्शन की कैटेगरी में आता है। पॉइंट इज क्लियर? थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू।